How does this sound?
That sits up a little and Corr with the core strength and grabs it. Barley dragged down. Unbelievably good tackle by Corr.
Jeez. Gets out the back. Henry had a quiet day. Corr just barrels straight into him.
Well done, Lefty's man, Lefty's opponent.
Wobble ball forward, bouncing all the way! Touched on the line is the call.
Corr one-on-one and Corr stood tall. Squeezed it towards Franklin. Corr beaten him a couple of times.
Hi,
All right, good to go.
Aidan Corr. Welcome to Shinboner Stories.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited. You're a very fascinating person, and there's a lot to your story that people don't know, myself included, before like last night when I was researching for this. So you were not born in Australia.
No.
You're born in Northern Ireland.
Yep.
And moved here at the age of 3. How did you get into footy?
Yeah, my older brother really. So I just
Yeah.
sort of copied him. He did like this footy camp with Jim Stynes because he was obviously Irish as well. So he was 10, and he took him in and did this. I think it was at Vic Park. He did like a footy camp with my brother, and I was pretty jealous. And then he was getting into footy with his mates, so I think I started minis, and I only played for a year. In juniors, I only played like sort of the home games,
Yeah.
and then I stopped playing footy for a while. But then my brother got really into it, and then I sort of just copied him again, and got back into it.
And how did you know making that transition from picking it up as a junior and enjoying it to then thinking I could actually potentially do this for a career?
Yeah, well, when I was young, like say 12, 13, I was pretty handy, and then I wasn't that handy. So I went from like making all the rep teams to not even making the tryouts for the rep teams when I was 14, 15. I was more into basketball and was going to go down that path. But I don't know, I reckon I was about 15, 16, I sort of shot up a bit more. I was playing down forward, which was nice. And yeah, like I loved it. I sort of always held on to footy because I moved primary schools when I was young, and I stayed at that footy club that was linked to that first primary school. So then I kept all my friends from there. So I never really wanted to stop playing because I would have lost those friends. So sort of why I held on.
You held on and you ended up making it to the national draft. You were taken with pick 14 in the 2012 draft.
Yep.
The Giants had just come into the competition the year before. Did you know you were going to go to the Giants?
No, it's probably the one club I thought. Them and Carlton were probably the two clubs I thought I wasn't going to.
Okay.
Yes, I actually thought I was coming here.
Because North had the pick after, yeah.
With Garns. Yeah, I thought I was coming here. Or there was chances of other clubs, but yeah, I didn't think I was going to the Giants anyway.
Wow. So what was that like, walking into a club? It's their second year of the competition. You obviously made your debut there in 2013.
Yep.
What was that like?
Yeah, it was awesome. I didn't really know any better. So the facilities were actually pretty poor. We were in the underground of like the after track at Sydney Olympic Park, and like no locker room. All our bags from the corridor. There was no showers, no ice baths. Other than a couple of bins with water in them. There was nothing, but I didn't know any better, so I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And everyone was really like 20 years or younger, so it just felt like a school camp, really.
Yeah.
We all lived together. Yeah, it was really fun.
You had a pretty frustrating start to your career personally. You played 36 games in 4 seasons, multiple injuries sort of stopping you. Was that tough to deal with as a young, aspiring footballer?
Yeah, it was annoying. I sort of felt like I'd get injured at AFL level, so I'd finally get in, and then I'd do a shoulder, or I don't know, I landed on mummy's foot one year, a big dumb foot, and I busted my ankle. Just stuff like that. It was like sort of like pretty stiff injuries. I know soft tissue sort of stuff early days. So yeah, it was frustrating, but like they sort of said they knew my shoulders would go because they were pretty unstable right from the start.
Yeah.
Probably wrestling my brother growing up, but yeah, it was frustrating, but it's all part of it, really.
You finally got a clean run in 2017. I think you played most, if not all, games, including the finals. Your inclusion back into the team and finding some form and healthy body sort of mirrored the Giants and their rise up to finals. You made a prelim final that year. What was that like at the Giants, sort of riding that wave from being at inception and getting belted every week to then 5 years later playing in finals?
It was hard early. Like we were just getting smashed. Like some of the boys here say, "Oh, that was rough." And I'm like, "That was not that bad." Like, early days, we were getting like destroyed week in, week out.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was sort of like we got really good really quick. It felt like it happened overnight, but obviously it didn't. But yeah, that you sort of say like we also got better, but like it was easier for me to play because we were so much better. Our midfield was so much better.
Yeah.
Everyone's sort of just like you learn to play with each other. So that's that 3 or 4 years of the backs playing together, which like here our boys haven't really trained together. You know, like us key position players and Almac and these other boys haven't really had a full preseason together, and that takes years to master that defensive art together. So hopefully we can speed that up. But like, yeah, it does. It rises quick and it's awesome. And before you know it, you're playing in prelims and then grand finals years after. But yeah, it's sort of like you just rely on each other so much, and it was easier. Like you don't have to try as hard in terms of like you're not just covering the ground constantly because you got like players around you that have your back and stuff. So yeah, it was really fun time. I really enjoyed my time in Sydney. Well, there's a
There's a big, big sound from the west of the town. It's the sound of the mighty Giants. Feel the ground is shaking. The other teams are quaking in their boots before the Giants. We take the longest strides and the highest leap. We're stronger than the rest. We're the greater Western Sydney Giants. We're the biggest and the best.
Let's talk about 2019. You had a weird season. You play 8 games for the season. 4 of those are finals, including a grand final with Richmond, the biggest club in the competition at the time, versus the Giants when just about every other opposition supporter got behind them. What was that grand final week like for you?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a big final series, so probably sort of spent all our tickets to get there. Felt
that Collingwood game the week before was
insane.
And
even like the week before that, the Brizzy game really won by was less than a goal as well. But the grand final week was awesome. Everyone did jump on board the Giants, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's just a whole nother level. And like, I honestly think like the crowd is bigger for prelims.
Yeah,
because I feel like it's more genuine supporters more so than I don't know, corporates or whatnot to go to the grand final. But the week of the grand final weeks, it's full on. It's a lot, and like you can see why teams get there for the first time might lose that game compared to a team that's been there before because they know how to prepare for that, and like it takes a lot out of you doing all the parades. And all the things you got to go along with it, and like I feel sorry for the captains of the clubs because they got to do so much in that week. But it's so much fun. A lot of people come out of the woodwork to get on board and try to get some tickets. So that's pretty frustrating. That's probably the only frustrating part about it. But
people you haven't spoken to for like 10 years messaging you, hey, do you have a spare ticket?
Yeah, it's crazy actually. But anyway, it was a lot of fun, and it's something like everyone should be striving for. Like it's a pretty magical week, and I couldn't imagine what it'd be like to actually win it. So
2020, COVID hits.
Yep.
And before we knew anything crazy was going to happen that season, Amazon approaches the AFL. They want to do a documentary, Making Your Mark, and the Giants are one of the teams that are featured in this documentary. Little did we know they would capture the craziest season of AFL on camera. How did you feel about having Amazon come in and work so closely with the club over that year?
Yeah, I actually didn't mind that at all. Sometimes you'd say things or do something you're like, oh my gosh, is that on camera? But no, I actually enjoyed it. So the guy who sort of was running the team, he actually was the guy that kicked it in. I don't know if you ever saw the Giants fan who kicked into the tyres, the Toyota tyres, won $100,000 at 3/4 time.
Yeah.
So he won a camping trip with the club, and I actually been camping with this guy before.
That's crazy.
So he ended up running it, and I got along with him really well.
Yeah.
So it was like I had my kind of mate there, and he was really like open and honest and easy to work with. So honestly, you barely realised they were there.
That's
sort of
great.
became part of it. They were great lads. The whole crew. It was really easy. But like, to be honest, they were following a few in particular. Like Cogs was pretty heavily involved, and Leon and stuff. So it would have been a lot for those boys. But yeah, it was. Sometimes you're just like, I hope that's not caught on camera.
And
embarrassing.
That added to an extra element to what was already a crazy season. How did you personally deal with COVID and navigating through that?
Yeah, well, the whole hub experience. I had a good time in the hub. I had a great time. I just felt my now wife, but Kate just moved up to Sydney.
Yeah.
She'd been there for about 6 or 7 months, I think it was, and then I'd left, and I just bought a dog, and he was a nut job. So I felt a little sorry for her that I left for months on end. But at least we had a dog to walk and do stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like I felt really sorry for Kate that she was back in Sydney and her family and friends are in Melbourne. Sydney was probably a better place to be fair. But apart from that, I actually had an awesome time in the hub. And footy wasn't even going that well for us. But yeah, we sort of tried to make the most of it.
Yeah.
Hawkins for number 3, being hunted down. Corr just got him. That was a good chase from Corr.
A bit onto it before the forwards.
Oh, nice stance there from Corr.
Big. There you go. Oh, Toby throws a boot at him.
Ugle-Hagan steps.
Gaff to Darling. He spun in the tackle. Corr again.
Jeez, I couldn't restrain him in the end. Corr playing in front.
Good grab under some heat.
You make the decision to leave the Giants at the end of 2020 and come down to North. What appealed to you about North Melbourne and what attracted you to the club?
Yeah, so I sort of spoke with my manager and I sort of ruled out a lot of the big clubs. I wasn't interested. I sort of wanted to come down to Melbourne. I was coming down for family reasons.
Yeah.
And like I wanted to get married and have a kid and have all the support around us. And I wanted to be able to go out for dinner and not be bothered, or when I finish footy, not just be remembered as like, oh, that's that Collingwood player or something. I just sort of wanted to live my life a little bit, and I really loved the Giants, how it was such a family club.
Yeah.
And I got that feel from North, big time, actually.
Yeah.
And I really liked, I knew Almac, we played together in juniors, and I was talking with Ray Shaw at the time. We had a good connection. I got along with his brother really well, Heath. So a lot of things were lining up, and it was, for me to actually admit it to my manager that I wanted to leave was really hard.
Yeah.
And it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And that's, like, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but, like, it was a massive deal to leave all my mates up there. No, that's the hardest thing I've got to do in my life. Well, that's not too bad. But I really struggled with the concept of leaving. I felt like I was letting them all down. But North, it really appealed to me. So I sort of made the decision pretty early on in the year that I was going to leave. Not many people knew, kept that pretty secret. But I was still trying to win the Giants.
Yeah,
I really wanted to win for the boys. But yeah, that was a tough couple of months.
Yeah, just trying to keep it to yourself and stay
Especially
composed, and
it was surrounded by the boys
so,
all day.
Yeah, and you're so close. You did make it down to North. Unfortunately, injury followed you initially.
Yep.
You struggled to get any consistency in 2021. So I'd say 2022 was probably your first proper crack at it. How did you find those first couple of seasons sort of adjusting to a new life at North Melbourne?
Yeah, it's different. It's it's not hugely different though in terms of the footy clubs. Like everyone's striving to do the same thing, and everything's generally pretty similar. Obviously, a different bunch of boys, but they're such great lads here. I felt at home pretty quickly with everyone around the place. It was pretty frustrating not being able to play. I really wanted to help, especially because I felt like we could have gone a lot better. And it was a funny one because I wasn't in pain, and there's just that infection in my bone in my foot. So I was sort of just
pain in the ass. Yeah,
absolutely. So that was pretty intense. That I was on a lot of medication for a long time to get rid of that. But I loved it. I still do. It really feels like home. And it's crazy. People are like, well, what's it down north? It's like, well, you'd think if you walked in the rooms, you wouldn't know we were going, things were as tough as they are. You'd think we're playing finals. It's the atmosphere in this place is amazing. We really like bound together. It's really it's a pretty special place.
It is. It really
you hear
is.
a lot of players that have left like speak so highly of the club. Yeah, and I think I'll be one of those players when I finish up too.
You started at the bottom with the Giants. You climbed the mountain to then come back to North and sort of come back down again and start again. How has that been from an on-field perspective?
Yeah, it's hard. There's no doubt that's hard. And sometimes you're like, well, like if I tried this hard at the Giants, like what could have been? I feel like I'm trying so hard, trying harder than I ever have. And it's sort of just a bit frustrating because you're like we're training like just as hard as I always have. We're like going harder in the gym, we're doing these things, and it's just not clicking for us. And it will. And like I said before, I felt like we got really good quickly at the Giants, and I think that will happen here. But it is frustrating. Like you put in the same amount of effort and get a far worse result. It's hard to stomach sometimes. You're just like, wow, like I'm really busting it here, and it's not working out for us. But yeah, I knew what I signed up for. To be honest, I didn't think it'd be this hard. Like I didn't think it would be this long before we get going. But I really feel like we're going to get going now. And just like, I feel like I'm running better than I ever have, and so it's actually not bad timing to be getting on board this. But even the inclusions we have this year is just a really good feeling about the place.
I think the last couple of years you've had a slow build, but quite a strong, probably 18 months on field. I think there's a lot of people that still doubt you. How does that make you feel?
Oh, to be honest, like, and everyone says this, but like, it does not bother me in the slightest.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I have the respect of my teammates and the coaches and the ones closest to me. So, and I know I'm trying my hardest. No one could ever tell me I'm not trying. So, like, I don't think I'm going to be judgy out there. And I don't act like I'm going to be like that. I just go there and just try as hard as I can for my teammates, and yeah, whatever the result is, it is. But I'd never dog it. Like, I'd always like, you'll never see me pull up short, even if it's the last quarter and we're down by 60 points. I'd still be hunting it. So yeah, it doesn't bother me in the slightest.
The respect from your teammates is evident in 2024. You were voted into the leadership group. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, it meant a lot. I came from a place where it was like we're pretty hard on each other, like almost looking for things that people are doing wrong and then going after that. But I think we've shifted away from that, and I think most of the comp has. It's more about support based, and I'm just trying to make this the most fun, safe environment it can be. And yeah, I don't know, if you come down the training, you'll hear me just yelling and screaming all the positive stuff. And obviously there's times where it needs, like, standards aren't there, they need to be hit, and we'll get on top of that. But I reckon, make it as fun as possible, and I'm glad the boys saw that I was trying to do that.
I think 2024 for you, and I was thinking about this the other day, was probably one of the hardest situations an individual could have been placed in with you. You have a backline that is lost Griffin Logue with injury, and Charlie Comben has just made a shift down back. Callan Dawson, also a relatively up-and-coming, needs experience. You've got Elmac, but you were sort of the one holding down the fort for a lot of 2024. Have you ever stopped to think about that?
Oh, no. We had a chat about it the other day, and it's like, I think we had 21 players come through the back line.
Crazy.
Last season. And, like, I think Brizzy had, honestly, less than 10.
Yeah.
Like, you want that continuity of the boys to learn to play together. And there's a lot of guys there that they're playing their first 10 games, and you're like I said earlier, you got to play together for a long time to get that. But like, it is what it is. Like, he's work with what you got. The boys all have a crack, and you seen for a little period there we really put it together.
Oh yeah.
I think there was a 4 or 5 week period where we were, it was really working for us. But that was off the back of the mids playing a lot better too.
Yeah.
We all rely on each other so much. And like we're pretty quick to spray the mids when it comes in quick. But look, it was tough, and like the ball was coming in a lot.
Yeah.
And then it comes in quick too. So like, there's not many teams that can defend 80 inside 50s consistently for 4 years. So
hey, it's kudos to you. It's pretty tough.
It's the halfback line together, so he hands it off instead. Corr from the 50.
Got it.
Drives it long. What a gem. First goal of the season. Higgins doesn't hear it initially. Now he's in some trouble. No, he's not. Shook him out of his shoes. Broke his ankles and took off. There's the ankle breaker. Oh, he almost threw a foot out.
Mate Frampton, it cleared all heads. Hill, acrobatic handball. Just stop that bow!
Bench pressed him.
In amongst all the toughness, though, you've got quite a highlights reel. You've got some bench presses in there. You've got some candy selling. You've got the one legacy goal of running on the back of a Kane Turner hand pass outside of 50. Do you ever think about those things in the moment, or is it something you just have a look at after the game and think, oh my God, did I really do that?
In the moment, no. Shortly after, yes. Like pretty quickly after.
That bench press on Bo McQuarrie lives rent-free in my head.
That one I didn't realise until I saw the video later. I didn't, the extent of that I wasn't sure. But like the candies and stuff, to be honest, they look better in your head before. And then you see the vision, like, I thought he fell over. Like, but no, in the moment, it's sort of, I don't know, you can't preempt those things because if you do, you'll get caught. It's just, it sort of just happens.
It's pretty good though. I reckon you'd have one of the best highlights reels in the comp.
No, I don't think I would have the best highlight reel in the comp. It's just for an old school fullback, it's not too bad.
It's pretty good.
In black boots, it's not too bad.
2025 is obviously off to a bit of a similar start with the finger injury, but you should be back out there soon. What are you hoping the club can do this year?
Yeah, well, we need to climb the ladder. So I hope we need to. We just need, the majority of our, that 25, 26 players just playing consistently. I'd love to see, like, the likes of Powley put in a full year. He's going really well, and he can be damaging. So and he makes the rest of us better. He makes LD better. And you put Parks in there and CD and all these guys that can help. We should be climbing the ladder. I think significantly more than what we think we can. Every team's striving for finals.
Of course.
So you'd be silly to assume that we're not thinking about that. But like realistically, we just got to climb, and we've got to do it quickly because it's been too long.
I know that I don't want to retire you off early. Absolutely not, because then I'll be stuck with looking for another favourite player. But you've been in the system for over 10 years now, and you have contributed a lot to the game. What do you hope your legacy is on both the club and then on the game in general when you eventually move on?
Oh, sort of just what I spoke about before in terms of like when you asked if the doubters bother me, just someone that has a dip and would never dog it really. I just think I think the club put together some little package. I think it was for my 150th, and I watched it and I was like, well, I'd like my son to see that. Like when he's older, I thought that was pretty cool. Just like it was more around just hard hits or chase down tackles or still in the team things, which I think is very important.
Yeah.
Which I back my whole game on. So things like that. I think the canning stuff is just a little bonus. That doesn't really bother. That's not a part of it. But yeah, just having a dip really.
I think you have been such a great asset to the club since coming, and I appreciate you taking the time to give us a rare look into the life of Aidan Corr, and I'm so excited to be cheering you very loudly once again from the sidelines this year.
Perfect. No, thank you.
And hopefully we can win over a few other fans
Hopefully,
along the way. It won't be me on my own for much longer, I'm sure, after this.
Perfect.
Thank you so
much. No worries at all.